Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. I'm Max Ledge.
And I'm Sasha Coyne. Hi, everyone. Great to be back.
Today we're diving into Solana. We've been digging through, all the recent reports and discussions.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise out there, isn't there?
Exactly. And we wanted to, cut through it a bit and really look at what's shaping up for Solana in 2025. Because it feels like next year could be pretty significant for them.
Right. Think of this as your quick guide to why.
Sounds good. And, the whole conversation around Solana, it really feels like it's matured.
How so?
Well, it's less about, what's the price going to do?
Yeah.
And much more about the actual tech and what people are building on it.
Okay, so let's jump into that. Part one, the main concept. What is Solana actually trying to be, and what's the tech story here?
Well, fundamentally, Solana's positioning itself as a top-tier blockchain for innovation, for growth.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is this shift we're seeing with institutions.
Oh,
yeah, the question seems to be changing from, should we maybe invest in SOL, to, okay, how can our business actually use Solana?
right. That's a big shift. From speculation to utility.
Exactly. It says a lot about people recognizing its potential beyond just the token price. And a huge part of that recognition, it comes down to some major network upgrades that are coming down the pipeline.
Okay, upgrades. Let's unpack those. What are the key things we need to know?
So first up, there's Fire Dancer. Big one.
Fire Dancer, okay. Heard the name. What is it really?
Think of it like this. Validators run software to keep the network secure and process transactions. Fire Dancer is a totally new alternative validator client built by a different team.
So like a different engine for the same car.
Pretty much, yeah. Built from the ground up. The idea is it should make the network significantly faster, more reliable, maybe handle stress better. It's about boosting that core performance and stability.
Gotcha. More reliable, faster. Makes sense. What else is cooking?
Then there's the plan to double Solana's block space.
Double it. It's already known for being pretty fast, right? Like high TPS.
It is. Super high TPS. But block space is like the highway's capacity. Doubling it means, adding way more lanes.
Okay.
So even more transactions can fit in without causing traffic jams or higher fees. They're even testing like a 20% increase right now from 48 to 60 million compute units. Just gives you a sense of the scale.
Wow. Okay. So more room for everything. Lower fees, potentially.
That's the hope, yeah. Handle way more users, more apps without breaking a sweat.
Impressive. And wasn't there something about a new consensus algorithm, too? Like how the network agrees on transactions?
Exactly. That's another big piece. The plan involves some fundamental changes. One key thing is getting rid of vote transactions.
Vote transactions.
Yeah, there's specific transactions validators use now to, vote on the state of the chain. Removing them should streamline things a lot.
Leading
to faster finality. So your transactions get confirmed quicker and more definitively. Also faster block times, so new blocks get added more often. And importantly, it paves the way for multiple leaders proposing blocks at the same time.
Okay, so streamlining the whole agreement process, making it faster, more efficient.
That's the idea. Real fundamental improvements.
Now, I've seen this acronym floating around, IBRL. What's the story there?
IBRL. Intra-block reactive latency. It sounds super technical, I know. But really, the takeaway is it represents Solana's obsessive focus on speed, making every tiny interaction within a block as fast as humanly possible. It's been called their North Star goal.
So optimizing down to the millisecond level, basically.
Pretty much. Pushing the absolute limits of blockchain responsiveness.
Okay, so the tech upgrades sound massive. Let's switch gears slightly, part two. How is Solana actually being used today? What applications are getting traction?
Well, you have to look at the broader crypto picture first, I think. There's this growing narrative, right?
Yeah.
Bitcoin is becoming solidified as digital gold, store of value.
Right, the safe haven asset.
Exactly. And that's kind of opening up space. It allows platforms like Ethereum, often through Base these days, definitely Solana, to really emerge as the go-to platforms for doing things, for applications, for DeFi, for NFTs, whatever.
So Bitcoin for holding, Solana and others for building and using.
Kind of, yeah. That seems to be an emerging trend. And Solana's leaning into that utility angle hard, especially with institutions.
Right, you mentioned the institutional shift. How are they actually engaging them?
There are pretty significant outreach programs. The Solana Foundation, others in the ecosystem, they're actively educating institutions, trying to onboard them.
Mm-hmm.
And a really concrete step is the creation of the Solana Policy Institute.
The Policy Institute.
Yeah, bringing together experts to talk to policymakers, regulators, making sure Solana has a seat at the table in those, important discussions about crypto's future. It's about building legitimacy and trust.
Okay, so actively working on adoption from the top down as well as bottom up. What about specific things in the ecosystem? Any cool developments?
Definitely. One interesting project is Helix. They're working on something called RPS 2.0.
RPS.
Reads per second. Basically, how quickly you can get data off the blockchain. Right now, reading data and writing new transactions are kind of linked.
Okay.
RPS 2.0 aims to separate those, like dedicated lanes for reading information. This should make querying Solana data much faster and more reliable. It actually addresses some old criticisms about read performance.
Ah, interesting. Improving reliability there. Anything else?
And fairly recently, they rolled out confidential transfers.
Confidential transfers, so privacy.
Exactly. Adding a layer of privacy for transactions. That could be huge.
Yeah.
Especially for attracting those institutional users who often need that kind of discretion,
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense for bigger players.
And the overall thing you notice is just the pace. The speed at which the ecosystem is building and shipping these ambitious things is, well, pretty remarkable. It really does feel like things are moving fast. Okay, so that brings us nicely to part 3. Future perspectives and, I guess, risks for 2025.
Yeah, 2025 really is framed as a pivotal year. The expectation, or maybe the hope within the community, is that all these tech upgrades we talked about, Fire Dancer, block space, consensus changes, will really come together.
And solidify Solana's position.
Exactly. Show that it can handle, massive scale and attract even more complex, demanding applications.
And isn't there a big event planned for next year? Accelerate.
That's right. Accelerate, May 19th to 26th, 2025. It's being positioned as a major showcase.
A chance to show off all this new tech?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Highlight the progress, demo the capabilities, rally the community, build momentum. It seems like it'll be a key moment to see how far things have come.
Makes sense. Now, obviously, we can't talk about crypto futures without mentioning the broader market, right? The cycles, the volatility. How does that play into Solana's 2025 outlook? That's a fair point. Look, external market conditions, a bull run, a bear market, they obviously have an impact on everything in crypto, including Solana. No project exists in a vacuum.
Sure.
But the focus for Solana seems very much on its internal drivers. The tech improvements, the ecosystem growth, the increasing utility. The argument is that this internal strength builds a more resilient foundation.
So while the market tide affects all boats, they're trying to build a really strong boat, essentially.
Exactly. Focusing on what they can control, the technology and its adoption. That seems to be the core strategy.
Right. Build it better, and users will come regardless of wider market swings to some extent.
That seems to be the bet, yeah.
Well, this has been really insightful. It feels like we've covered a lot of ground on what's potentially coming for Solana next year. So just to quickly recap for everyone listening, we looked at those major tech upgrades, Fire Dancer, more block space, the new consensus aimed at boosting performance and reliability.
Right, the core engine improvements.
Yeah. Then the growing institutional interest, moving beyond just investing to actually using the platform, helped by things like the Policy Institute.
And the specific ecosystem developments like Helix improving reads and confidential transfers adding privacy.
Exactly, all pointing towards 2025 being a potentially transformative year, even keeping in mind those broader market factors.
It definitely seems that way. The combination of the tech roadmap, the growing use cases, and that push for adoption makes it one to watch very, very closely.
Absolutely. Well, if you want to keep watching closely with us and stay on top of all the deep dives into what's happening in crypto, make sure you subscribe to the Deep Dive wherever you get your podcasts.
Please do.
Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone.